the way the university system works doesn't work for me. So while I really enjoyed working with technology,
Could you say more about what you mean or what you understand or what people should understand about technology?
the internet services you use all fall under computer technology.
The Nigeria usage of internet, for example. Is that a possibility that we can transform this problem into a solution?
People are already stepping up to do that.
This one-on-one thing can actually be possible even though the person is not physically there. I don't know if you see what I'm seeing in the huge opportunity that's available for Nigerians. I want to thank you so much, William, for joining me in this conversation. Of course, today we're going to be doing what we usually do here, which is storytelling. We're talking about our stories, our experiences, our life. We have a particular pleasure doing that. Could you start by telling the audience who you are? Then we'll pick it up from there. Please go.
I'm Bill from Port Harcourt, Nigeria. In my opinion, the coolest city in Nigeria. But that aside, I'm a software engineer by day and an artist by night. I would say technology is art, but we'll go into that later in the conversation. But yeah, software engineer by day, artist by night. My work is mostly with software, helping. I've worked in a lot of businesses around the world, helping them to figure out how to use software in their plans, goals, and all that. Because I've discovered in my tech career so far that different people interpret and use software differently. And so that's our approach with my business and how we look at businesses is we don't have kind of a package where every kind of business that comes to us uses the same training model. We train every business and set up their IT based on their preferences and goals. So it's customized to them. And that's it's a quick introduction about me, and then on my artistic side, I write spoken word albums and jazz music. I've done that since 2016. It's good to have these two parts of my life. It makes life really interesting.
Well, that's really interesting, Bill. That is really interesting. I like the way you put it. You are an engineer in the day, and in the night, you are an artist. That is pretty interesting. All right. So, in your engineering, can you tell us a little bit about that? In what do you focus on? Could you tell us a bit more? Then, of course, we can look into your artistic work. We just flow with the conversation.
Oh yeah, as an engineer, let me start. Just quick rundown of my career so far. So 2020, when COVID started, I realized that the way the university system works doesn't work for me. So while I really enjoyed working with technology, the computer science course I was doing wasn't giving me that fulfillment. So I thought, why not come out and see if people are gonna want to hire someone personally to teach them how to use technology. So that's what I did. So in 2020, I came across while writing music, which is why I say these two parts of my life intersect. While writing music, I came across an American businesswoman that really saw the tech side of me, and she was like, "Hey, why don't you teach me how to use software to collaborate better internationally and run my day-to-day business and all that." So for about 2 years, I worked with her one-on-one and did that. And in 2021, I realized, I could build a business where we work with I could set up a team, build a business where we work with businesses around the world and find out what they're doing, train them because there's a lot of technology out there, not enough people train it. So you hear software engineers building, but I've not met a team of software engineers that focus on training, which is what my view is on training. So I set up a team, we train businesses. If need be, we set up automated systems for them using software, the focus being on software. We set up the softwares for them, train them how to use it. We also train them how to think creatively with software because It's not just using the software, but you need to be able to think how to creatively solve problems in your business using the software. That's what my work as a software engineer is focused on. It's just, I think, put it into sentences, is empowering people, individuals, and businesses to use software.
Mm.
That's
All right, that's cool. But what kind of businesses do you mostly work with in terms of, maybe let's look at it as your clientele, the people you are serving with your technology.
it's mostly small scale business between I was saying the size is between about 5 to 20 people. In terms of industry, the only industry I've not particularly figured out how to work with is financial service companies. But to focus on size, 5 to 20 is what I and my team can manage. Most of our clients have been marketing companies because marketing companies need a lot of training of their staff on how to use software and automations because most of the marketing tasks are repetitive. So you can automate. So most of our clients have been marketing companies. But I've worked in marketing companies, entertainment companies, and our clients, NGOs, our clients have been from different industries, really. So I would say if it's our clientele, if you want to say, kind of specify our clientele to be this size of a company, 25 to 20 employees or company.
What do you really say is the okay? The question is, what is the importance of technology for businesses today? Somebody that is listening to you and might be wondering, do I really need technology in my business? Okay, maybe you never know. People can ask all sort of questions. So somebody asks you a sort of question, what would you say?
I'd say number one is data. People do not really understand how important data is, but I'll try to explain that in a few minutes. So, one of the things that make why is social media free? Why is it free for you to download Facebook and um, create an account and just use it pretty much for free? You don't pay for anything unless you want to pay for ads. It's because Facebook collects data of how people use their app, what content they consume, and how they consume it. And then they sell this to advertisers. So data, in that sense, you can begin to see why Facebook makes a lot of money and why you pay for ads. You're paying for the data that Facebook has gathered. And so in your business, if you don't use technology in the modern age, and you decide to store data in, using paper documents and books and all that, one day something is going to happen to that data. One, two, it makes it more difficult for you to find data as time goes on. So using technology, for example, if you use technology properly, you could easily store your data, and wherever you are in the world, you can access that data just by like in 2 minutes, just by searching for it. You could access data. So why use technology? One, it makes you able to protect your data better and access it easily. That's the number one most important thing for any business. Is data. You want to be able to say, oh, you want to be able to look back at 2022 now that we are in 2025 and say, oh, this is how much we made in 2022. This is how many clients we served. You want to be able to track that data to be able to make decisions in business. So that's one. I think two, secondly, is using technology gives you an edge over people that don't. I'm gonna explain. Let me explain that with AI, for example. So recently, my mother, she's working on a PhD. She finished writing her thesis, which was about 200 and so pages. And then I came to see her on Sunday, and I noticed that she was trying to find the references, where she got some of her data from the references, and she was going page by page to find the references. And I was like, you could just put this in ChatGPT and ChatGPT will find all the references and the links to them, right? And she was so shocked. And we did it. I showed her how to do it, and within 10 minutes, we are done. All the about 60 or so references were listed out by ChatGPT. Now, if someone else doing that same work would manually without technology would spend maybe 2 days going through about 200 pages to find out references. And so, like with that simple example, you can see that using technology gives you an edge over people that don't. You can do things faster. You can make some processes automatic, so you don't even have to remember to do them. And so anyway, I don't want to talk too much, but I believe those two examples will give anyone listening to me an understanding of why technology is important to use, whether you like it or not.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. And also, the example you shared there is very clean and clear, yeah, for even beginners to understand. That is so true. All right. I want you to talk to a very beginner. They don't yet even understand. When you say technology, what really are you talking about exactly? How do you describe technology for somebody who is still having some challenging understanding what we are talking about? Are we just simply talking of chat GTP? Could you say more about what you mean or what you understand or what people should understand about technology?
Technology, to be specific in this case, I'm talking about is computer technology and everything that surrounds it. So you're talking about your laptop, your computer desktop, your phone, the internet services you use, all fall under computer technology. Um, and so, for example, if you have a laptop and you don't have internet connection, you can't do stuff on the internet. So computer technology it's so many parts to it. So when I talk about technology in this case, I'm talking about computer technology and everything it involves your internet, your phone, your laptop. And if you learn how to use your phone better, your laptop better, and the internet better, you'll be able to you're able to do things faster in your personal life and business. Whatever goals you have, the computer technology makes it easier to do. And so for a very beginner, I would say that's what technology is. And in my experience training people, so far so good for the last 4 years, I understand that people that are unique when they start learning, but I'd say it's like that for pretty much any niche that is going to be scary. But I'm telling you, it's worth your time. So you start from the most simple thing. The most simple thing you can start with is just learning how to type in technology. Maybe it might be that simple to start with learning how the keyboard is arranged on a computer and learning how to type it. And then you could go down to simple software like how to use Microsoft Word to create a document. And so it's that's pretty much what technology is in this case, strictly computer technology and everything involved. Hopefully that is a good explanation.
Yeah. That is another clear explanation. Now that would take us to an angle that would be very important now because you live in Nigeria. There we have a huge opportunity for the fact that our demography is predominantly young people. I'm talking of over 230 million people, predominantly young people, and the tools of the age is technology. And this technology is available on the small gadget that people have in their hand in the name of smartphone. I wanted to speak a bit about that potential because in the beginning you were talking about working with people in America or maybe people coming from America. And if you from your explanation, breaking down what is technology and also the dynamics about it, talking about ChatGTP and the rest of it, it almost bring the conversation that people have been saying the world is a global village. Now the world is literally a global village, which means in Port Harcourt where you are, you can connect to somebody in Beijing, connect to somebody in Tokyo, connect to somebody in New York, anywhere in the world. You can even connect to somebody in Mars if you want. Either way, people living in Mars, no? Because the moment you are on the grid, you basically can do almost anything. So what does that translate to in terms of business opportunity? And I'm looking at how that can benefit people in Nigeria or in Africa.
It's a lot of opportunity if with simple as smartphone. I like to use stories to make my examples stick, to make my point stick. So I'll use a story. When I started working online. I used an iPhone 4. I don't know if anyone knows an iPhone 4. It doesn't have, just think of like the modern day iPhone without like 80% of the features that it currently has. So it couldn't do much. All I needed from it was internet connection. And the idea of why I would say I grew and what I try to teach everyone is think of it like this. Whatever you try to do, just think, ask yourself this question: how can I use my phone to make this thing easier? Literally, go to, let's say you want to find a, let's say you want to find a job. You can literally go online and say, where can I find this kind of jobs? And if you go down the search, the results that Google or whatever search system you use online to search for, you would learn something new that you haven't learned before. You might learn that, oh, this company hires once in 3 months. You might meet people on social media that are also asking the same questions and they have answers. So if the more we think, because there's so much information out there now with the internet and social media, that people seem to just focus on certain bits and forget the rest. So some people, for example, when they want to laugh, would remember that, oh, I can go online and find something funny to watch. But when they are looking for jobs, they wouldn't remember that, oh, I could go online and actually find if someone online is finding someone with my particular set of skills. So it's getting into the habit of using the entirety of the internet, not just specific parts of it. So the more you get used to asking the question, how can I use my phone and the internet to make this stuff easier for me? The more you find creative ways to use your phone and to use the internet, um, computer technology entirely. Because if you're not asking these questions, if you're not looking, you would never find it. And so it's learning to just ask, even if you want to learn, even like no matter the most simple thing, let's say you want to learn how to use ChatGPT AI that you always hear about. You could go online and ask Google, how do I use ChatGPT? And you would find videos of people explaining it in the most simple terms. So it's just getting used to that. It's a habit that people have to, I believe people have to form, because I'm talking right now to people that are just starting out using computer technology, or young people that want to find ways, because people hear, oh, I'm hearing that this guy is making this amount of money online, but you don't know how. If you want to know how, you have to start asking those questions online and meeting people that will be able to give you real answers. So hopefully that's a good answer. Try to make it as simple as possible.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Um, but are there some challenges? I just said that a huge opportunity. Now you also went ahead to break that down. But looking at the particular case in reference now, looking at Nigeria, are there some challenges
Yeah,
that people might be facing in terms of maybe connected to the grid and remaining on it and being able to do business?
yeah. It's I would say for one, it's the educational system. People are not taught to the educational system right now in Nigeria does not include um, computer technology enough, in my opinion. And so I believe I was just fortunate to attend a school that did, but most schools don't. And I believe if more schools and parents, if a parent listens to this, hopefully, can actually look at what their kid is doing and see how they can use computer technology to do that better. That's one. I think secondly would be internet expenses can be quite huge. And recently the internet providers in Nigeria just upped their prices for about 200%. And so it can be quite expensive to learn and apply and use internet technology, or even to buy a phone and to buy a laptop can be expensive. But the good news there is that um, online, and if you manage to get online, you would find a lot of free materials. But it's just being able to afford to pay for internet one, and also having enough education to even know that the internet can do those things for you.
All right.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Now,
education will be it. Education and the cost of using computer.
okay. Thank you for that. But of course, there are still a lot of Nigerians on the internet. I'm speaking from the point of view of data, and you use a lot of data on as a way of being able to help businesses out there. And maybe you are the right person to ask how much of Nigerian population are actually on internet. What can you share with us in terms of those data, like for example, the qualitative aspect of it? Are they just there on the internet? It's on cities, just there maybe on the internet to make noise. Are they using the internet to leverage it in for business? I know maybe a lot of people might not be there, but those few that are there, how much data is available that we can know of when we say the Nigeria usage of internet, for example?
Yeah, I don't have the exact numbers right now, but I actually did a research on this last year when I was building a product that's going to come out this year. And lots of young people, because Nigerian population is mostly young people, beginning to having access to smartphones because there are brands now that are producing cheaper smartphones that people can afford. And so people actually spend, even if it's difficult, they actually squeeze their budget to fit in paying for their internet every month. And so lots of people are on now than ever before. The problem is that people are not educated well enough to learn how to responsibly use the internet to achieve their personal goals. And so you probably run into people that would say, "Oh, I don't have money, or I can't find a job for the last year or so." And then you ask them, how often have you I asked them how often have you gone online to learn, to try to improve your skill, and how often have you used your data to actually try to find a job online? And you see that they haven't even some people don't even know because I've had this conversation with a couple of people recently. Some people don't even know that the jobs they're looking for exist online, or that they could even learn more about the jobs and improve their skills online. So lots of um, Nigerians are beginning to adopt computer technology based on the data I personally researched last year. But the problem is the educational system and the education in general is not there to let them know how to properly use the technology that they've come to adopt.
Hmm. Okay. When you did your research, what were you actually focusing on, and what data were you trying to capture? Why is that important for you?
It was important for me for the program I was building. It was important to me to see the how from 2023 to the last year. I did from 2020 to 2024, Q1 2024. And what I was trying to find was how the kind of I was trying to see how the rate at which Nigerians are adopting computer technology, specifically smartphones, because the product I was going to build was going to be primarily used on smartphones. So I wanted to see how the rate at which Nigerians were adopting smartphone technology. The data what I was looking for in the data, my research was I wanted to see if Nigerians were adopting technology, especially younger people, not younger people, were adopting technology, smartphone technology specifically at a good rate and at a very good rate. And what I found was really impressive. Lots of young people in the last since COVID 2020 have come to adopt smartphone technology, and internet usage also at the same rate has gone up at a very high rate. And so in terms of and other software companies will tell you the same thing. In terms of technology, Nigeria has a lot of opportunities in the coming years, and that's what I found. Is just lots of people are adopting software technology, and but the problem is the education is not going at the same rate. So although people are adopting, you can give someone a gun. Let me just use that as an example because people would understand that better. You can give somebody a gun, but if they don't know how to use that gun properly, they're going to waste all the bullets. And so although people are adopting smartphone technology and computer technology at a higher rate in the last 5 years, the educational system hasn't. stepped up to teach them how to properly use this technology to create a real difference. So although they're creating a difference, they're not creating a difference as high as they should be if the right educational system was there for them to do that.
All right. The educational system. Um, I like that. And I also want to go back to what you were saying before, where you were making mention of the fact that some people don't know what to look for. They don't ask the right question. I think I want to say it like that, which is to say, if the people ask the right question, they will get the right answer. Which is also to say that on the internet there are a lot of opportunity. If the problem is the fact that okay, the educational system, by this probably you are referring to the state educational system, if that one is not giving enough, what about the people who already know how to do it like you? Because now you are organizing training to people. Maybe the educational industry, let's put it like that, where we are talking about the online learning platform, online learning institution, online learning software, online learning courses, and all of that. That can then become very lucrative there for Nigeria, because it means now that somebody can create a course in Lagos, another person that is in Abuja can easily access. You don't need to move from Abuja to Lagos to listen to your teacher. All you need to do now is just to connect to his or her platform. You can learn. The same is true if you were in Benin and you want to learn from a teacher in Enugu or in Port Harcourt, in Sokoto. Uh, does that make any sense? Is that a possibility that we can transform this problem into a solution?
Exactly. People are already stepping up to do that at the moment, but in my opinion, not enough. So I talked to a lot of people, a lot of my colleagues, and I posted about that on LinkedIn this week too. If anyone checks my LinkedIn, I talk about how every week you can hear about people building and building new software technologies, also hardware technologies, by the way. But not enough people are teaching us. So although we have people teaching, not enough people teaching. We need more people. We need more people teaching people how to use technology. We need more people teaching people how to not just a general kind of course, but more of this one-on-one relationship with like a one more like a one-on-one class kind of thing where I individually come to you and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do, and I would like to learn how to use technology to achieve that, and then you almost coach me for a couple of months to the point where I can then go out and then ask the right questions and navigate my way to doing what I want to do with technology. Because if you have general courses, you might teach something general, but that doesn't come down to the individual learning how to use that stuff to specifically achieve what they want to achieve. So we need to find a way. So although I would suggest those general courses still make sense, and there are lots and lots of them uploaded on YouTube for free, by the way. So if anyone listens to this, you can go on YouTube and search for whatever you want to learn, and I can bet you that there's an 80% chance you'll find it, and it's gonna be free. And what I'm talking about in terms of training is, although we have so much content out there to train people, we need to have this one-on-one relationship with them where we coach people one-on-one, and that can be a little bit expensive, but I think if we create an environment where that is possible, where we can coach people one-on-one, let's say everyone pays for the same general course for 4 months, but we design it in a way where they can have that one-on-one relationship to learn directly from you to do that. That would create people that can then go out and do the same. And then technology is going to be much more, it's going to create much more results in the case. So we do what we do currently. We create these courses and allow people to learn from wherever you are in Nigeria. But let's also focus on building more of that one-on-one relationship with students. I think that would be the way to go forward because that's how I learned. I learned because at every stage in my tech education, teachers had that one-to-one relationship with me, teaching me specifically how to use technology the way I wanted to use it. Yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
All right. But this one-on-one training, the one-on-one coaching program, how do we initiate that? Is it something that the teacher should look for the learner to teach him or her how to do it, holding him by the hand? Usually, that is what we will say, hold you by the hand and show you how to move from point A to point B to point C to eventually where you are going. Or it is the
Exactly.
student that is going to look for the teacher and say, teach me how to do this. Then the teacher will then guide him or her how to do that. What do you say?
I think the students should find the teacher. It's really frustrating to teach people that are not showing the willingness to learn. So it's much more productive when you're teaching someone that comes to find you and say, "Hey, I've been trying to learn this. I'd love for you to be my teacher." That's much more. That's better for the student to find the teacher, and the teachers are online. You can find them. And if you want to find the right teachers, just find someone that they have trained, and you would be able to find the right person. They would always have people that would recommend them or people that can vouch for them. That would be a better way to know where to spend your money if you want to pay for this education. But I wanted to say something else, but then it skipped my mind. Oh yeah, I know what I remember what I want to say now. So to think of this one-on-one relationship, think of it like an apprenticeship. So a good example would be like a mechanic, a car mechanic. Most car mechanic relationships are the student, in most cases, comes to find the teacher. And then over a couple of months, or even maybe 2 years or more, however long it takes, they sit down and they learn directly from this person. And they ask questions, they see the day to day of how the person operates. And now that person can later go away and do the same thing and train more people. So that's exactly the kind of relationship I was trying to describe with how we can, that's how I believe we can get um, technology to create more results in Nigeria. If we have those kind of relationships where we train people like that. For example, recently I started working with Nigerian businesses and I expressed to them that I want to be here with you for 5 months. In these 5 months, I want to understand how your business runs. And I want to train each person on your team specifically how to use technology. And so far, so good. We've done that. And then you can see that now when they employ somebody new, those people have trained can then train those new people how to use software in their department. Understand? I believe that that's the way we can create a lasting effect of, that's the way we can create lasting results in our training method. If we train like that, we would have, in the next 5 years, we would have a Nigerian educational system that produces much more productive people using technology.
Mhm. All right. What you say sound like a huge opportunity. Of course, a confirmation to what we were saying before, that the country now really have a huge opportunity if the people are connected to the internet. Only that when they get to the internet, internet is a world, is the entire world. It's like you are giving access to everything right in the front of your hands. But if you are not
Yes,
prepared for that kind of world, you easily get lost. So
exactly.
that also means now that in Nigeria the salary is very bad. The salary system is
Yeah,
very bad. The way that the government did it, while the politicians are earning a lot of millions and billions of naira, they said they can only give to the teachers a meager income that they cannot even live by. So to that teacher who have learned, spent all these years learning, what if they can learn how to unlearn some of the things that they have learned? Because some of the things that they've learned is not productive. Sorry to say. But what if
yeah,
they can repackage their knowledge and then sell it? You don't need to go anywhere. So that right there where you are in Enugu or in Lagos, you can be teaching in the government school or whatever you are teaching, but you can also have your online students. You don't need to relearn, you don't really need to do anything. You don't need to make any serious investment. You just make your skill available. So that, like you're saying now, this one-on-one thing can actually be possible, even though the person is not physically there. I don't know if you
exactly.
see what I'm seeing in the huge
Yes,
opportunity
yes.
that's available for Nigerians.
I see it. I see it, and I'm going to describe it. So it's possible to do one-on-one without seeing the person in person. It could be a call over WhatsApp or whatever. If you use Messenger, it could be a simple call, and those calls and just don't consume a lot of data. So it can be a simple call like that. You could talk with your students and find information. And I think teachers should start doing that because if you're not paying, not enough to teach in schools, and the school system forces you to teach people in certain ways, and that does not work, as we all know. And so we need to see how we can use technology to reach people better. You get, for one, you're going to be creating students that are more productive, and secondly, you're going to get paid better. So it's a big opportunity. And I've said this on LinkedIn a lot of times. So I've said it over and over again. We have a big opportunity for people to use technology to train people, not just train people in technology now as we're talking, but for teachers to actually take their knowledge and how they want to train students that effectively and do that online. Is going to be better. And I think something else I need to touch on is education. So when you say education, most people immediately think, school, right? And that's wrong. That's a wrong way to think because education is forever. It's not just school. It's education is everyday life. And so when it comes to education, you need to ask yourself the question: if school works for you, if school is how you know what you can afford and what you want to do, and if that's what works for you based on how you want to be trained, fine. But you need to ask yourself the question: what's the best way I can get educated? School is one option, and then the internet opens you to hundreds and hundreds of options to get educated. And I would advocate for for educational institutions that are more progressive to include the internet and computer technology and how they train people. But for every other person that's out there that actually, internet, if you learn on the internet strictly, it's cheaper than paying school fees every month. I know that because I dropped out. I dropped out of school and I learned everything, pretty much most of the things I know about computer science online. And even though I paid for courses, they're not as expensive as my school fees. And so when you think of education, think of the best way to do it. And in my opinion, it's online. So we need to see how we can train people better online. Teachers don't get paid well enough, and I understand this, and it can be quite frustrating in the day to day when they go to school. So they can create they can look at what they're supposed to teach their students, create a course, and then teach students online. The student gets much better education and the teacher gets paid better. So everybody wins. And so I need people to rethink, to not merely think school when they think education. They should think education as a way of life, as a day-to-day thing, and think of better ways to get educated, not just one way. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that.
All right. Thank you so much for that, B. I appreciate that. Now, let's talk a little bit about software. When you talk about software, is it like you design software for people or you teach people how to use software?
Two of them. Both things, both things are true. But I prefer to train more. I build less and I train more. Reason is that my strong belief is that we have created more than enough software in the market out there. We have more than enough software. And so, in few cases, I've built. In most other cases, I've used what already existed and made it better for this client to use. And so, what I spend most of my time training. So, a good example could be a marketing company comes to us and say, "Hey, we're trying to send emails to our customers from when they buy our product, from when they buy the product that we're trying to market to, you know, storing their information and all of that." And so we then go online and say, oh, this is what the client is trying to do. What software that already exists can solve this problem? And then we put together a bunch of software and train them on how to use these softwares. And if we can connect these softwares using, software lets you automate stuff and connect them so they can work together. We do all that and train them on how to use it. Only and only when we cannot find the software that does exactly what the client needs online, or if we cannot make a software that exists to do what the client wants, only in that case we build software for them. But I prefer to spend my time setting up and training rather than building. It takes much more time and energy.
All right. There is an aspect that I think is almost impossible to ignore, the aspect of energy. Because now you need to remain connected online. You need to pay for the energy, but the energy, most importantly, need to be available. Looking at the particular case of Nigeria, what do you say for people who want to maybe connect to the grid, the internet, which is, but they need to be able to connect to the internet in the sense of having energy to do this. How simple is that, or how difficult it is if that is the situation? Most likely. What is your take on that?
So if you're in Lagos, I'm going to talk about Lagos, then I'm going to talk about other states in Nigeria. I think people in Port Harcourt, my fellow Port Harcourt guys, when they hear this, they're going to bite off my head. But anyway, in Lagos, there's what we call there are lots of it's also in Port Harcourt, but they're mostly there's a lot of them in Lagos. They're what we call tech hubs, right? And for one, ALX Nigeria, I've done a couple of courses with them. They have at least three tech hubs in Lagos, right? At least three, I think. We still have three. And if you do an ALX courses, their courses are not that expensive. You'd have free access to use these hubs every day from about 8 till 5 or 6 p.m. So that's free power supply and free internet to learn, watch whatever you want to watch on YouTube, whatever you want to learn, whatever work you want to do. You have free access to do that. So lots of tech hubs, not just ALX, but if you go online and Google tech hubs in Lagos or tech hubs in my city, you would find some of them that are paid. You find some of them that are sponsored by an NGO that you can use. Lucky enough, if you're lucky enough to find one that an NGO sponsors, please share with your friend. Let them also use the opportunity to learn, right? And so there are opportunities like that to do that. And what I used to do, and this is just like hacks, what I used to do when I started off learning technology, I didn't have enough money to pay for data and also buy fuel if there was no power supply. So what I did was simple. In Nigeria, there's what we call bed shops. There are lots of bed shops, and they always have power supply. All you need to do, literally, what I did back then was I would make a friend with a couple of guys that always go to the pet shop, and they literally let me just come there every day and charge my laptop and work. I use my own internet, but I use their, power supply from them. So the only reason I share that story is that if you're in a situation where you don't have power supply, but you have internet or you have internet, you just need to think of creative ways to solve those problems. How can I get power supply cheaply, or how can I get internet? If you think, you would find a way. I believe if you think about it, you find a solution to it. But I wouldn't suggest that you give excuses. But the option I gave on finding tech hubs is really viable. Check if you have a tech hub that is sponsored. Some of them you have to pay maybe 2 to 5 thousand a week to use their space from morning till night, free internet, free power supply. And second option is just finding creative ways to access the internet and to get power supply. I know some of the internet providers in Nigeria would probably offer you cheaper data if you're a student. You just have to find out if those kind of packages exist for you.
All right, thank you so much. Then you also say that you wanted to talk about other state other than Lagos, and did you already
Okay,
touch
yeah,
that?
Port Harcourt. I think I touched on that. I said Lagos has a lot of tech hubs as compared to most other states in Nigeria, which is why I said Lagos first, so that people in Lagos would know that, yeah, if you're in Lagos right now, you have advantage because there are a lot more spaces like that. But other cities also have it. But I just want to specify Lagos first and then talk about other cities in general. But in Port Harcourt, we also have a couple of tech hubs. I know Silicon Delta for one. Silicon Delta they actually Silicon Delta also recently created opportunity for people that like to work at night. So if you want to work it safe, if you want to work all night long, I think, yeah, if you want to work at night from midnight till morning, you can also use the internet and power supply as long as you pay their subscription. I've forgotten the cost of it, but yeah, they also offer things like that. Uh, and I also say other cities so that other cities will also hear what I said about Lagos and probably try to recreate that. If we have cities spending money on spaces where young people or people in general can come in and have access to internet and power for a fee every week, I think that would help encourage more people to do that, to come there and learn. Probably figure out, if I can pay 5,000 a week, compared to your school fees could be 45,000 to maybe now school fees is more expensive to about 150,000 you pay for school fees. Imagine paying for a space where you pay maybe 15,000 or 50,000 a month, right? To have access to power supply and internet from morning till night. I mean, in 8 hours you can learn a whole lot and
All
do
right.
8 hours times every from Monday to Saturday. So yeah, yeah, that's an option.
All right. You see, we were talking about some of the challenges before in Nigeria, and we can say, in fact, we were saying then that each of these challenge has a solution attached to them. Now we're talking of the problem of power supply in Nigeria, and we see that people who are able to think beside outside the box, they already find a solution because business is essentially providing solution or a service to the people who need something. Because if in Nigeria we say there are over 230 million people, the question somebody might be asking is, what if I'm selling pure water? If you are selling pure water and there are over 230 million people, of course, there is no way somebody cannot buy water from you. Now, if we say that
Exactly.
it is over 230 million people, they don't have access to power. Of course, not all of them, but at least the majority of them don't have access to power. Now, it makes sense that somebody should be able to build these hubs, not just in Lagos, but in all the cities of the country. You'll be making a lot of money because people want to connect to the internet. They don't have access. They cannot, some of them cannot buy generator, but at least if you make it available for them, maybe you have internet cafe around it, you are also selling bread, you are selling pure water. In fact, you can even set up this business. You will not charge people anything, but you'll be selling things to them. So I want you to speak a little bit about that from the point of view of business, that any problem we have in Nigeria have a solution. Of course, I know we are
Yeah,
not going to talk about security today, but even that, there is a solution too. It is not possible to have a problem and not have a solution attached to it. Please help me on that.
yeah. I'm going to use, since you said security, I'm going to use an example that as an example. So last year I met two amazing men from my city, Port Harcourt. I've forgotten his name, but they built Terahaptics. Terahaptics is one of the, it should be the biggest drone company in Africa, and they have managed to create a drone that resolves security issue for people that own big. If you own a very big farmland, you can't keep you can't hire security guards to secure every inch of your farm. People are still going to manage to steal from your farm every now and then. But this young man saw that the security issue with pipelines, with big farmlands and stuff, and they created a company. They created a solution to solve that, and now they're going to make a lot of money for that. And Ghana recently, I think some people in Ghana recently invested in them to come and build a drone factory in Ghana. And they're Nigerians, and they're from my city. They are, I think he's about 22 years old, and the other is about 24 years old. So that's a good example of how you can look at a problem and think of how to solve it. And another thing is just look at whatever. There's so many problems in Nigeria. For me, what I've chosen to solve, the problem I've chosen to solve with my tech career is just training people, giving people the knowledge, empowering them on how to use AI, software in general. Is what I'm focused on doing. Creating software to solve problems, training people how to use software. So you can look in your community. What's the issue? Or let's say you have a community where there's no power supply and there's no internet connection, you can go and talk to the right sort of people and say, I want to set up a space where people can come in every day, use power supply, internet, and get trained on how to use, just empower these technologies that in the next couple of years my community could become a community where technological innovations happen. And I bet you, enough, if you talk to enough people, one person will look at you and be like, I like this. If you can do this, if you're really serious about doing this in your community, what's your plan? And they'll invest in it. You might sometimes, people give up early, but if you talk to enough people, you would find someone that will do that. So it's looking around you and seeing problems equals money. The bigger the problem, the more money you can make from solving the problem. And from solving the problem, you're not just helping your community, but you're helping yourself, make more revenue and money for yourself. And so when you think of problems, think of money. I think if you listen to what I just said, Terahaptics, Google Terahaptics, and you see this, you hear the story of two young men that are able to build a drone business to solve not just security issues in Nigeria, but efficiency issues in manufacturing and all that. And they are in their 20s. And so if these two young men can come together and create a solution to start solving some problems that we have in Nigeria, like security. I mean, what other problem can you solve by just going on the internet and learning about technology or learning about solutions to the problem and actively start going towards solving that problem. So yeah, hopefully that helps people to direct their thoughts on how to process problems and convert them to business opportunities.
That's so good. That's so good. That is what we need. We need more of that. In that any type of problem that we have usually have a solution to it. So we should be thinking behind. Look at all the different angles about the problem. We usually see that a solution is buried behind that.
Yes,
Anyway,
yes,
I really love that your approach to it. People need to understand. People need to hear that they have a solution behind them. There is no need complaining alone. Of course, sometimes we need to complain, but we don't need to spend all the time there just looking for problem to problem for the sake of the problem. We must look for the problem with the mind of finding a solution to the problem. We cannot blame it on everybody and look at ourselves as innocent. We are still here, so let's see what can we do, because we are part of the equation. We are part of the equation. All right.
exactly.
So people want to maybe connect with you. They want to learn more about you. What is the best way to reach out to you?
Okay, for Nigerians that are on LinkedIn, right? You can reach out to me on LinkedIn by just searching for my name, Williams Bill Jr. My personal brand is obvious. You see the guy wearing the scarf, that's me. Williams Bill Jr., the guy wearing the scarf, that's me. But for everyone else that probably doesn't use LinkedIn, if you use other social media handles, it's at the Bill Way, the Bill Way, one word, the Bill Way. And I think I would give out my number. But if the number I'm going to give out is the number that you can only text on WhatsApp, because I prefer not to have everybody calling me at the same time. So yeah, those are the ways you can reach me. The BOA on all handles, Williams Bill Jr. on LinkedIn, and I would give out my number in this in the description of this episode. You will see my phone number. Um, I think I should call it out as 0809 2219 107. That's slow enough. 0809 2219 107. That's my WhatsApp.
All right. Thank you so much for that, William. Now, what would be your final thought here to conclude this conversation for those who have listened to you to this point?
Uh, but I think I was just kind of telling them how it is. It's not easy. I know, because I live in Nigeria, Port Harcourt city, and people don't know what's going on in Port Harcourt at the moment. So it's not easy. I wouldn't pretend like it is. It's really difficult sometimes, but we can't keep complaining. We can't keep giving excuses based on the situations we find ourselves in. We already understand how hard it is. Now, what are we going to do about it is the question we should ask about. We should ask them. We know how difficult things are. We know how difficult it can be. What are we going to do about it? That's the question we should ask ourselves every day. Are we going to stay every day and complain? Or are we going to start taking active steps to change things in our personal lives and communities? So yeah, that would be my closing statement.
Thank you so much, William. I appreciate the time. I appreciate also the intelligence sharing here to help people sort of rethink what they have in their mind. It is very important that we see ourselves as part of everything that is around us. We cannot simply exclude us to be innocent and try to blame it on other people. So the way we think about it, I think, William, you have spoken about this thinking process a number of times, because I think it's really very important. The way we think about it, the kind of question that we ask determine the kind of answer we are going to get. So I really want to thank you so much for this sharing.